Hello and welcome to day 4 of our October Adventures in Tarot casting series. Today we are doing the Medusa spread as chosen from yesterday. I thought it would be really neat to use a few variants of different versions of the Rider-Waite universe. So let's just get to the spread. I have it bookmarked. Show you, this is how I drew it in mine. What I've been doing is basically just taking this and just drawing it in a way and then writing or paraphrasing, excuse me, it's early, first day of my new tongue, paraphrasing it in this way, just the things that like stand out to me as far as the spread goes, and then maybe a couple little quips there. And again, this book is from Jerry's Artorama. I need to remember to tag that in the video. I don't think I did it yesterday. I will go back and change that. So here's the spread. So what I thought would be really cool to test out, because Medusa's story is a tragic tale of deception, of false allegations, jealousy. Ultimately, it ends in betrayal. And this spread helps us see the root energy caused by some frenemies, and then maybe a path to reclaim our own agency. So, I mean, we all know if you stare at Medusa and her snakes, the myth is you're turned to stone, but she wasn't always a monster. She was betrayed because of her beauty. Medusa has also become a very powerful symbol for survivors, especially assault survivors. So that seems to have been something that pop culture has embraced over the last few years. As a tattoo artist of over 20 years, Medusa was always just this powerful figure that people would get tattooed. It's only been, I don't know if it was because of TikTok or what, but either way, she is a great beacon of survivorship. So I thought that it would be really unique to test out different variants of the Rider-Waite. So I have my version. And then I have Tarot of the New Vision here by Pietro Alligo. Did I say that right? I'm sorry if I did not. Artwork by Raul and Gianluca Cestaro. And then we have the After Tarot with Pietro again and Corrine with artwork by Giulia, Francesca, Massaglia. I'm sorry if I did not get those right. I'm trying. But I thought it would be really unique to bring so many different perspectives of a similar deck, because it kind of brings you like he said, she said, they said, you know, it's like different dialogues from the same universe. And so I just want to see how they interact in this spread. And it was just kind of like, oh yeah, you know, because you have like, what's it go? There's always 3 sides to every story. The truth, what they said and what they said, like the accuser and the accused and all that. So I thought it would just be really neat to bring that energy in these 3 decks to this spread. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, I edged my version of this. Let's get the cards out here. Just get it ready. And the placements in this particular one, what had prompted me to draw this sticker was I wanted to show like the live beauty of Medusa. And I'm also, I love snakes, like born in the year of the snake. And just, I wanted to do like, when we believe things, then maybe our world gets turned upside down, and like the truth, especially in this culture that we live in, cycle is barely revisited. It's like the headlines are what people get so caught up in, but then they don't go revisit the story because the story has turned to stone or solidified, and that's not always the case, right? So then we have the Ouroboros here. Yeah, that's too early for me to try and say that correct as well. But we have the snake eating its tail, but with 2 snakes, and then the elements in the center here. So we have the new seed and all that. So it's just, in itself is a really powerful oracle card. So like if you were using this in a tarot reading and this card came up, you might say, depending on which way the face is facing, the other cards could be what is real and what is, you know, no longer real. Let me get this one out. And these decks are really fun to use together. I've done this a couple times for my own personal readings. So if you have them, there's also, there's Before Tarot, which I don't have in this one because I'm using my Rider-Waite deck for that. So let's just get to it. We're going to use, for the reality of the situation, so this is it, we're going to use the traditional, we're going to use my Redux deck. And so that's going to bring in what the reality of the situation is, the actual facts. And so this is going to be the first position. And if you get this sticker, it comes with, so this is one of my revised spreads. Basically, it has like, I used to have all sorts of stuff, kind of like a kitchen sink tarot casting, but now I've revised the spread placements to create this spread to go with it. And so now instead of having so much, there's intentional placements. So the reality of the situation, and we've got the Empress. And isn't that the case, right? So Medusa was, she was sought after because she was beautiful. And then there was jealousy, you know. So seeing the Empress show up there, it's like the reality of the situation is maybe she was just minding her own business and it wasn't her fault. And then we have, let's see, I'm going to use the Tarot of the New Vision as the third position because that's like the gaze. So then the reflection is the After Tarot. And this is going to be here. And this is what is needed to protect yourself during this time. So what does the Empress need, or what is, if we're reading Medusa at this point, what does Medusa need in this moment that, you know, she's being accused, or there's backbiting going on. There's a lot of stuff being flung. So what is it that she needs? And we have the Ace of Swords. And I love that this, like, so this perspective shows, instead of seeing the hand holding up the sword, we now have the hawk come in, and the hawk is a messenger, the peregrine is a messenger. And it's like, what is needed is to understand that, yes, you might have a thought, but you have to sometimes let the sword go and take the messages. You know, you don't have to act upon every thought. Like maybe you need more information. Maybe more information is needed. And it goes back into, don't let the information turn to stone. Let it, the news cycle can be revisited because there's always going to be more information, right? And so then this third position here is the gaze. And this is what's being said. These are the allegations, the projections, the conjectures. This is all the BS. This is if we're going back to that time period in Greek mythology, Twitter, right? This is social media. This is what's being said, because it doesn't matter what's the truth. It's just what's salacious, you know? And so these have a way of connecting with each other. And we're going to just see what that says. And it's the High Priestess. And it's, you know, going this way. And we're saying, what's being said behind her back, right? Like, what is it? We've got two sides. And then these, if you look at these, it's like these two worshipers or nuns or whatever are they on the right side? Or are they conspiring? That really feels like a conspiring card, because you have, like, you would think, I mean, I like aesthetically how the white robed one is in the temple of the black, and then the black robed one is in the temple of the white. And so it's saying behind her back there are things, but like we know that this priestess is hearing it. We know that this priestess is like probably embodying this owl, and the pomegranate's there, and it kind of brings it all down into the underworld. So what's being said is just like some real conspiratorial stuff going on. And so that's, again, to protect ourselves, we have to rise above it, maybe put our sword down and just kind of tune it out, right? And in this particular spread, I have the Lenormand tile placements. Like, this would be a really good spread if you're feeling like you're in a dramatic situation or there's just something going on against you, like, you know, like just kind of uneasy, and you want to get to the heart of it and you want to understand what's going on. And so we're going to do like we did yesterday with the 4 or 5, like I do them scattered. And then we'll read it all together. So we got 4, we have the cross. And 5 is down here, and we have the child. And then we have 6 is mice. And then we have the scythe. 7 down here. 8, we have bear. Put that there. And then snake. Snake has shown up almost every day, right? And it's just funny. It's a snake off the head. I love, like, when I'm doing stuff like this and I see the artwork kind of like inception into the artwork. So we have the snake and then we have the mice up here, which is something that these snakes would really enjoy eating. So the 4, 6, 8 positions up here is trust, right? So this is the elements in your favor, and the motives of this is what helps shield us, right? And to know in this position, like, these are kind of negative cards, but you'd say the cross and the mice really reveal all of the little problems that is going on. Maybe there was a crisis of faith, like with Medusa is a very religious time period, people worshiping her, you know, and she wasn't godly. She was just this person. And then they made her into a goddess because of what they did to her. And so because of that, it's like, oh, you think I'm a burden now? I'm about to become a problem. And then in that, her power really rose up, right? Because the bear is showing, like, that has now become her biggest resource. And it's like identifying the problems. Like her test, I always think of my friend V from Red Light Reading says about the cross, your test becomes your testimony, you know, and it's kind of like, that resulted from all the anxiety and all the little problems in the world at that time. And that has become the biggest resource. And so then the undercurrent, as I flip that around, the undercurrent is the betrayal. And the betrayal, this is the motives of all this backbiting. This is the motives of her having to really not believe everything that is said or heard. You know, there's so many people in this equation, and all she's trying to do is just live her best life over here. That's the reality, right? But the conspiring and then just the sending out the messages to the world, it's coming back, right? And so the undercurrent shows the snake, which is the shady in Lenormand, can be another woman. And so we know that this was started because of, I'm gonna get them wrong, I'm not good on remembering all the mythology, but it was because of, you know, a love triangle, but she wasn't even a willing participant. And the snake reveals that woman. And then the scythe is saying, okay, well, we need to off with her head. And that way we can move forward, right? And so this is this whole lie that was told, something really small that became something really big. And then, you know, with this spread, it can show that it tells a tale of deep survivorship. You know, it says, okay, this was the reality, and now the legend lives on. And to this day, her story is so much bigger than if they had just let it play out, if his gaze had gone to somebody else, you know. So that's one way. I thought it would be neat to see how these 3 decks that are all very in the same vein would show up and chat together. I expected more people. I expected, like, this Ace of Swords, I think, threw me off a little, but there is still people, and it's almost like I'm getting, like, don't shoot the messenger vibes in it. But in this case, it was the messenger had to go and get somebody else to take care of their dirty work and go and fight Medusa. You know, as a child, my first introduction to Medusa was through the movie Clash of the Titans. And until I got older and started to actually hear the stories and read the stories, it was like, oh no, she was done dirty by those around her, you know? So how many times in our life have we been done dirty by those around us that we thought were friends, or that had like a smooth tongue, and then they turned out to reveal their nature, you know? So that's kind of what this spread is for. And they're not all going to be this heavy, but some of them are. You know, I like to really create things that make us think a little deeper and darker, if you want, or, you know, you could cast aside the entire things that I suggest and come up with your own spread, you know, and it's a 3-card spread. So I really hope that if you do that, you let me know how it works out for you. And yeah, so that's this one. So let's push this one out of the way, and let's see what we're going to be working with tomorrow. And tomorrow, the second edition of my Rider-Waite Redux goes on sale at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So if you're watching this in some future distant land, it has already happened, and hopefully they are already in the shop. So, but October 5th, 2025, that's when the pre-orders open up. So tomorrow's sticker. Oh. Sometimes shuffling with this is a little difficult because they're laminated. So we have crystal hands. We're going to be working with the crystal hands tomorrow. That's a fun deck, or a fun sticker. I'll give you a little preview of that, and I will see you here tomorrow.